thing that someone figured out. Anybody seen the PBS special Victoria and Albert? Prince Albert. Have you ever heard the joke Prince Albert? You have Prince Albert in a can? Okay. No one made prank calls, like? Okay. Prince Albert married Queen Victoria, and he was a pretty sharp guy. I would have liked to have known him. And he did a couple things for the British Empire. First, he married Queen Victoria and was a very good husband to her. He was also an intellectual. And he actually came up with this concept of the World's Fair. And what he thought was, man, England is a great place. We are a great nation. Wouldn't it be great if we could get people to come here and we could showcase what a wonderful nation England is? So he came up with the concept of the world's first World's Fair, where he said, we're going to do this big fair and we're going to showcase England, and we're going to invite other countries as well to showcase what they have, and it's going to be the world's largest collection of new inventions and scientific discoveries. And think of it as, you know, what's anybody big into the Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas? Anybody ever been there, heard of it? Yeah. It's like where everybody rolls the newest gadgets out. And if you love gadgets, it's the coolest place on earth to be once a week. Right? Any video game players here? Right, what's the big video game conference that they do every year?
E3.
Yeah, E3. And what do they do? What do they always do?
Just like review all the next upcoming games.
Yeah, here's what's coming up. And then you just geek out. Oh my God, I gotta buy that. Oh my God, I gotta buy that, right? Well, that's what the World's Fair was at its time. Okay? They built anybody ever hear of the Crystal Palace? They built the Crystal Palace as the main exhibition hall, and they put all these neat scientific discoveries in it, okay? And people said, well, that's a pretty cool idea. It was very popular, and they kept doing World's Fairs. In Paris, they did a couple. Belgium, they did it. And in the United States, we got on in the action. And in 1893, we held the Chicago World's Fair, and the first, what we would call accepted, the first authentic ride was premiered in Chicago's 1893 World's Fair. Do you know what it was? Oh, it was the Ferris wheel. Who invented the Ferris wheel? Mr. Ferris. Yeah, so, and they actually put it in the back of the entire World's Fair. Why?
To make you go through the whole place.
To make you go through the whole place. Excellent. Okay. Take my theme parks and amusement class. You're going to learn all this stuff. Anyways, so that's when they started to figure out rides will attract people. And from there, it wasn't too far to say, let's build amusement parks, and from there, let's build theme parks. Okay. This was the first mechanical ride. Anybody know what the first thrill ride was? All right. The Russians, crazy Russians, right? Ask Donald Trump, crazy Russians. Used to take, in the wintertime, they'd go to the top of a mountain, and they'd take a boat. And they would put people in the boat and push it off the side of the mountain. I know. And I'm sure many people died. Because there's no control. You're just sliding down the mountain in a boat. Right? And that's what the Russians used to do to get their thrills. Okay? That has, huh?
They probably still do that.
They probably still do that. That has carried over to today, right? Does anybody speak fluent Spanish in here? Habla español? Anybody? See, I know I'm in South Carolina. I'm in Florida. Every hand would go up. Right? South Carolina, no one speaks Spanish? Is anybody? Okay. A little bit. Do you know how you say roller coaster in Spanish? So you're going to learn something today.
Isn't it like Las Montañas something?
Yes! La Montaña Rusa.
been like 8 years since I
La Montagna Russa. Does anybody know what that translates into?
Mountain.
The Russian mountain. And that's how you say roller coaster in Spanish. And it goes back to the days where they used to push people off the side of a mountain for thrills in a boat. Okay, La Montagna Russa. Okay. So again, amusement parks and theme parks are rooted in fairs, carnivals, okay, all the way back to the trade fairs and world's fairs. This is really fascinating stuff, and I'm breezing over it really quickly. So take my theme park class again. So let's talk a little bit about theme parks. Okay, I say theme parks and amusement parks. Are they the same? They're not. What's the difference?
Oh, amusement parks have themes?
Theme parks have themes, yeah. You gotta go a little deeper than that, though. How do you know you're a theme park? And I love Carowinds. Everybody work at Carowinds? All right? I love Carowinds. I love the managers there. We have a great relationship with them. But every time they say this, I kind of go, shut up, don't say anything. They call themselves a theme park. Are they a theme park? You say no, why?
There's no theme. It's just a bunch of rides. It used to be a theme park when they were run by Fair, but now Cedar Fair owns them.
They would say to you, of course we have a theme. The name Carowinds comes from Carolina winds, and the idea is that everything Carolina, right, is showcased there. Like they have the boardwalk, which represents Myrtle Beach, and they've got like the plantation, which represents the Old South, and they've got, trying to think of the other areas. I'm making my point. They think they're a theme park, but who's been to Carowinds? Can you name me any of the lands? Yeah. So they think they have a theme. They don't have a theme, right? It's not clearly defined. And I'll use the example of Magic Kingdom. Who's been to the Magic Kingdom at Walt Disney World, right? Is that a theme park? Absolutely, it's a theme park. It's probably the best theme park in the world, and we'll talk about that in a second, why I can claim that. Okay. All right. Who's my Disney people here? Okay. I'm gonna pick on you.
Me?
Sure. What's your name?
Mary Dawson.
Mary. How many times have you been to Walt Disney World?
Twice.
Twice. Okay. It's probably not gonna work.
7.
7.
To Florida, once to California, once to Vegas.
Okay. If I took you, all right, I took you and I blindfolded you, first I'd be arrested for kidnapping. But let's say I take you to the Magic Kingdom and I say, where are we? Could you tell me if you were blindfolded?
More than likely.
More than likely, why?
Like the noises going on, like the smells.
The sounds. What would you hear if we were on Main Street? What would you hear?
If you listen to like music and stuff. And
What kind of music? Like old-timey, rinky-dink piano?
Yeah.
Right. Absolutely. And people laughing, having a good time.
And like the shops and stuff too.
The Magic Kingdom is so well themed that as you go, you may or may not know this, but as you go from each land, the music changes and is in 100% consistency with the theme of the land. For example, Main Street's a rinky-dink piano. Frontierland's, country music. Tomorrowland's this really new age music. It all supports the theme. Okay? Now, if you did kidnap me and put blindfold and earplugs in my ears and asked me where I was, I couldn't hear you because of the earplugs, but I'd know where I was. Why? And you mentioned it already.
Smells.
Main Street, USA has a totally unique smell that no other place on earth smells like Main Street, USA. I would know instantly, without my other senses, I'm on Main Street. You guys know about sensory triggers, right? Did you know that your scent or your olfactory is the strongest memory trigger according to many science? Have you ever been walking down the street and you smelled something and it almost took you back in time instantly? Yeah, I mean, perfume, right? Other things. People who work on the farm, you smell manure and you say, it's just like at home, right? You say, well, okay, that's pretty cool, but did you know that Disney actually pumps smells into their attractions in their streets? That's how obsessed they are with getting the theme right. For example, on Main Street, the popcorn stands, if you look at the top, they have what's called a blower that blows the scent of popcorn out into the street, right? And the bakery also blows that scent out in the street. Now, they do that for a couple reasons. What's some of the reasons?
To get you to buy it.
Yeah, you smell popcorn, you're like, man, that's what I've been craving all day. Popcorn or chocolate chip cookies. What else? Is there anybody that doesn't smell chocolate chip cookies and go, oh, that reminds me of Grandma? Yes, sir.
Hollywood Disney theme park, they have is it turkey shank or something?
The big turkey legs?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. They've got them in Frontierland as well. Yeah. These are all things that support the theme. Okay? What about cast members? What do they wear?
Costume.
Costumes, they're 100% in the theme. Okay? If you're in Tomorrowland, you got these polyester jumpsuits. If you're in Frontierland, you got a cowboy costume. If you work the Haunted Mansion, you have this, English butler's costume. Everything reinforces the theme. Now, Disney is fanatical about their theme. So much so that they do things that you wouldn't even recognize. And I'll give you an example. Actually, I'm not going to use the Disney one yet. I'm going to use Universal as an example as a theme park, right? Universal's a theme park. Who's been to the Universal in Orlando?